Greater good. Greater good.
You're starting
for the greater good.
You're starting the episode off
greater good
for the greater good. Kick us off with this.
Hello and welcome. Do you not like? You gotta go loud like every other one. Hello
and welcome to Smash Writing. I'm Paul. That's Justin. And today we are reviewing.
We're continuing on with the Blood and Chocolate trilogy with the second one, Hot Fuzz. You are a heathen.
I am because
this one you get away from the horror comedy here. You got the action, where it's an action parody and the parody of all the action movies.
Yes,
and it's wonderful all the way through.
Wow. I mean, that makes one of our opinions.
The only one of us can be right, huh?
And it might not be you.
It is me.
So now in this one, like I said, it jumps more to the action comedy.
Yeah, you start off with Simon Pegg's character, Nicholas Angel, in London, and you get the rundown of his
where he's like a badass.
Yeah, he's the badass cop, and he's expertised in all these things, including high-speed chases on both in car and bicycle. You see him to drift to a stop in the cop car and then drift to a stop on the bicycle.
Yeah. Then his SWAT tactics and his awards are all over the wall.
London ships him off to a little country village.
for what rate?
Because he makes them all look bad because his arrest record is like 500% compared to the rest of the place.
And the part is
he keeps taking it above their head, and you keep seeing these guys slide in the room. Like, you're gonna love it in the.
And it was actually the final boss that was like, well, okay, this is what we're doing here.
Yeah,
you don't have a choice.
You're going.
You're going because you make us look bad. It's you and then us. You gotta go. And so they ship him off to this little village in the countryside.
They're very loose on everything. Even the police department is like, their punishment is you have to eat cake.
Yeah. Well, he shows up, like he gets there and his house or whatever wasn't, or his apartment wasn't ready.
Yeah, he's staying at the inn.
Yeah, so he stays at the inn. And so he goes to a pub and gets his drink.
His cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice. There.
Because that was a big thing from, like, this is a big shift from Sean. It's like his character is straight-laced while you get Nick Frost, who's laid back and he's drinking on his time off. And
yeah. And instantly he shows his cop skills when he sees that everybody's in the pub is like under 18.
He clears out everyone under 18. There's like two people left.
Yeah, two old people.
Two old people and Frost, Danny.
Yeah.
And he sees Danny, like, he doesn't realize at the time that Danny's one of the cops on the police force. He just sees a drunk trying to get into his car.
Yeah, and then he backs up. And yeah, then it's revealed he's a cop too. Takes him to the police station.
He puts him in the cell. It's not till the next day where he learns that.
Yeah, exactly. It had that was like the whole funny moment right there.
The reveal when he goes to talk to him the next morning, and he's like, "Where'd he go?" And you see him like turn it on. Where'd who go?
Who let him out? Or something? Wasn't it like who let him out too or something?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. Well, he's a cop. Yeah, their rules were...
He's the inspector's son.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's going to be his partner.
Yep.
And he's automatically infatuated with Angel because he is the cop that Danny's always wanted to be from the action movies. And he's like, did you ever fire two guns in the air one time?
Well, they tell him, like, you don't have to wear a vest. Because they talk about stabbings, and he's like, have you ever been stabbed? No. I have. It hurts.
That was the thing they talked about in the intro thing, is he'd been stabbed 3 times, one of which was by Father Christmas.
So now go on with like the plot that
you go on from this, and like you got these two guys. The Angel's being friendly to him, but he's very much annoying. Finds Danny to be annoying. And he wants to
It's a love-hate thing for like most of the film.
He wants to go back to the city.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see the one guy be murdered, I believe. Was that the first night or the second night?
Second night, because they went on beat Yeah, it was the second night that he was there because he was on beat with them.
Yeah.
After the whole drunken experience and the pub clean out, and he's asking a million questions, and then all of a sudden, like, they hear like an accident. And that's the thing too. Like,
yeah, every murder, like, no matter how, like, the woman's like skewered on her hedge flippers, like, she fell.
Like, everything can't be an accident. It's like why your murder rate's so down and your accident rate is so high. Everything was...
He keeps, like, the murders keep racking up, and they're trying to solve it, and everyone's like, it's just an accident. Unfortunate accidents happen around here.
And then that's when that phrase starts coming out, like, when they reveal that it's like a cult.
That's like all of the heads, like the inspectors and
all the higher ups, it's a cult for them, and it's all for the greater good.
Greater good. Shut up! Crusty jugglers. Then they killed the living statue because it made the town look bad. Crusty jugglers. Like, the one
graffiti? Somebody did graffiti? Oh.
Yeah, the dead teens from earlier.
Which was an accident. So then it was like, after he discovers that they like get him out of town and he starts to head back.
Yeah.
Only to like no, he's gonna fight it.
He picks up the sunglasses from the store and he goes into town and the gunfight starts. And that's amazing. From the moment he rides up on the
white horse. Not just a horse, but a white horse. And he starts firing him off and they start shooting back. Then the priest comes out. This is like one of the best scenes for me was the priest coming out. He looks innocent.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell him like this violence is not needed, blah blah blah. And then out of nowhere, he slides 2 handguns
from his robe and
yeah, and then shoots him.
Well, I love the fact when you get to the police department and the cops have to like decide, like, do they want to side with the guy they don't like?
Yeah,
who's kind of making their life hell, or the inspector, and you aren't sure how they're going to go, and then they float toward Angel. And that was just a great little moment with the inspector, and then it led to the car chase.
Yes.
The great car chase, where they stop in the middle of it to collect a goose that they've never been able to catch throughout the entire movie. And you get that shot of them in the car, and you get the like serious look on the two, and then the goose in the middle. You get the fight scene in the little miniature village,
right?
Like the kaijus of the town.
Obviously, the ending after all that.
The callback to the bomb that they found at the farmer's, that they couldn't understand what the farmer was saying, and he's talking about the bomb he found. He's whacking it with a rifle. He's like, "It's deactivated."
It definitely. So obviously, you said this is the second film. It had moments for me. Like he says, action comedy can be tricky because for me, you don't want to be too stupid, and like the dry sense of humor that they were doing and Shaun did just didn't.
No, it worked perfectly for me. I loved it.
It didn't for me. I mean, like if they did more stuff like how the priest was,
it goes on a bit too long at times.
Yeah,
like they could cut some time down to make it move a little faster.
When I first started this movie, because with my regular job, I have splits. I'm like, all right, I'll bang a movie out each split.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking it was like 90 minutes.
No,
2 hours, and that was like what really was. Maybe honestly, like we shared a laugh and talking about all of the funny stuff that has gone on. I think the time was what started to ruin it for me. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I originally was thinking in my head, but it's because I looked at the time and I'm like, okay, like this should be a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be hitting 2 hours. And I'm like literally, I kid you not, I was like literally hitting the pause and going, what the fuck? How long is this? And I was at 1 hour and 36 minutes. I'm like, this is 2 hours long? Like, I was like, oh my God, I gotta finish this up. So maybe like the length really killed the humor for me. Where
it does go on a bit too long at times, but it's just
like I said.
Well, I love the two, you have the two identical cops, and they were just Like they were trying to do like that badass sway out of you, but then they swayed back into
yeah. I said it had good scenes, like it had laughing scenes. Obviously the story was simple. It's not really about the story.
The corrupt village.
The corrupt village for the greater good.
Greater good.
For the greater good.
Now we're missing the best part. Yarp.
Oh god.
Yarp. Yarp.
How stupid can you get with that? Is the angels not getting back up?
No.
I'm like, oh my god.
Are you sure?
No,
I can't remember when he asked him to get the no. He's not getting back up, is he? No. Good.
Like, can you say anything else? No. Okay. Let's just. No. I said my.
Like you had that moment between him and Angel though, at the grocery store. He's looking up at him. He's like, "Do you really want to do this? Think of what's right." Yarp. Fine.
I said my favorite scene was the priest. Like you can't, because when you see a priest, you're like nothing. The way he starts, like stop the violence. You think that's what a priest should say. Like
you're in the wrong movie.
Yeah, you're like, okay, that's the priest. And for a second, I'm thinking like, well, Angel's just gonna shoot him. And just like, because he's on this rampage of like, he knows like these town is like messed up and he's just going to shoot. But it's the priest that just slings those guns out.
Yeah, the flower girl on the pedal bike, and she pulls out 2 pistols from their basket, opens fire, and Ed opens, I said Ed. Danny opens the door and whacks her with the car door.
Yeah! So it had those funny scenes. That does say, it's a good movie, but I do think the length was just kind of like soured for me.
Yeah.
So give your final grade on it. A?
Falls just short of Shaun of the Dead, but still top tier movie.
You know what? I will go 85. I guess that would be like a B plus.
Just a B.
Just a B. I think the length just, like it says, the length just did it for me.
Yeah. It is the longest of the 3.
Yeah. And
you wouldn't, I don't think, you want to guess what the shortest one is?
The shortest one?
Mm-hmm.
Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, I was going to get...
It's a 1 hour 39.
Okay. Like I said, and that's... 2 hours just didn't seem good for this length of comedy.
Yeah.
The action comedy was fine. The transition over to the next genre was fine. I don't know. I'm going to keep going to the length that kind of ruined it. The laughs were there, obviously, with some of the scenes that we mentioned. My favorite was the priest. There was even... Yeah, you got that line. The opening... The opening scene, what really gave me a good laugh too, because literally I just finished Shaun of the Dead and seeing what that character was. And then you see him again, and first I thought that was fucking with me because I'm like, okay, this is just him waking up thinking he was his badass cop. Like, no, he's actually this badass cop.
Yeah, that's the whole new character Simon was bringing to the table.
Yeah,
to try to watch all 3 of them in a row would be trippy just to see them constantly flipping characters.
And here's the thing, like, when you came up with this idea, let's do this trilogy, the way it played out, that's how I had to do it.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, it was used to Simon Pegg being Shaun, and then flipped it to this action film. Like I said, the opening scene made me seem like they were fucking with me. I'm like, oh, he's going to wake up and he's going to be like a loser cop that they just want to dump off into the wood, dump off into the countryside. But instead, he was actually the cop, and the only reason it could think of was, you're making us look bad. I'm like, you could dump like hundreds of other cops in the countryside, not the one who's doing all the work for you. But mostly just the length, I guess, now when I really think about it, is the comedy couldn't try to stretch the comedy out. And I did feel like there was like some boring scenes because they were making it 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And that like it says, a 85% B is still high, a good number for where this series is at now. crazy part is, like, when it first came out, I never thought these were, like, its own trilogy.
Yeah.
Just because it was so different genres. You go from horror comedy to horror action to what the hell? Sci-fi, yeah. So, you give it A. I give it a B, 85%. And now we go on to Justin's life story. No,
Justin's life story. Let's not fuck around here. All right.
He said that off camera, like this reminded of his.
I'll talk about it when we get there.
Until next week.
Bye-bye.